Bafoons everyone! In January this year, I made a video about an upcoming interview with Team Cherry. Originally scheduled to release in late July, the interview is now finally here in the form of a 15-page long segment in the magazine A Profound Waste of Time. I've already talked about this interview twice before release, so of course I'm also going to do a deeper dive into it since it is actually here now. As I've stated in the videos before, this interview focused a lot on Team Cherry's design philosophy when it comes to game development. However, there also were more bits of information about Silksong sprinkled throughout the interview than I anticipated, so I'm happy to be able to present those as well. But please do not expect any release date info or info about 10 new bosses or something like that. However, I'm sure that you will find what Team Cherry talked about interesting. And yeah. Just go to the timestamps in the description if you want to skip to a specific part. Also, please sell your soul, aka subscribe to the channel if you like these Silksong news and theory videos, and let's just jump right into it. Well, actually, before we jump in, one thing really quick. Out of respect for the magazine, I won't be posting any art that has not been shared on Twitter, etc. yet. Also, as this is a 15-page long segment, I won't spoil everything about it, but just the pieces that seem to be the most relevant for this video. And also, the link to the magazine's social media stuff is all in the description. This magazine is an impressive work of art and a love letter to indie gaming and gaming in general, so please support the magazine yourself if you can. First up, let's start off slow. Team Cherry first talked about their financial struggles during the development of Hollow Knight. Near the end of development, I was at a point where I could only sparingly purchase croissants. Of course, now they are able to actually buy food, but it is honestly quite concerning to hear how much they struggle financially during development, which goes to show just how insanely hard the life of an indie developer really is. They then talk about croissants some more. Ari prefers the plain ones, which obviously is why we are reading the article in the first place. But they sadly changed the topic after only half a page of croissant talk and eventually talk about their gaming experiences when they were children. As a kid, one of the most fun parts was wondering what comes next, imagining what's at the top of the tower that takes 2 days to climb. That sense of anticipation and discovery. As a 21-year-old certified gamer myself, I can say that this is what is the most special thing about gaming to me. All of my favorite games growing up ignited this sense of wonder in me. Super Mario Galaxy is the one that immediately comes to mind, a game that I loved as a 7-year-old and still come back to 14 years later, loving it just as much, because it just oozes creativity in every corner of every level and makes you want to fully explore each galaxy. And this sense of wonder is a big part of why Hollow Knight is one of my favorite games. You never know what is behind the next corner, and I could make a whole video about this topic, so I won't go off on a tangent any longer, so yeah, back to the interview. Team Cherry also mentioned how the smallest details can make the biggest difference. Like the food in Muramasa, that is super detailed for some reason. They say that being able to sleep or to sit down in chairs, being able to pick up things or kick rocks around or kick a soccer ball are some of the most interesting things to see. This approach to game development also made it into Hollow Knight and Silksong. When talking about Hollow Knight, Ari says that the side stories are very important to the feel of the whole game. It's when you put them all together in the entirety of the game that the world starts to feel believable and textured in layers. Also, my hopes and dreams got crushed later by Team Cherry themselves, as they have no desire to be social and are therefore largely blissfully ignorant when it comes to things like the Hollow Knight subreddit. There I go and sacrifice the blood of the innocent to my Team Cherry altar every Tuesday at 2 AM sharp, and then Team Cherry doesn't even know I exist? What a disappointment. When talking about Hollow Knight's release, they say that it was somewhat rushed due to lack of playtesting, since they were really limited in that regard. Because of that, they had still a few bugs to fix at launch. This tells me that they will take their sweet time with the testing phase of Silksong's development, which I think is a very good decision. The fans can wait some more. Now, let me use this as a segue to talk about what they said about Silksong. To them, Hollow Knight and Silksong are like one continuous project with 2 products. This of course stems from Silksong originally being planned as just a DLC, but becoming a lot bigger than a DLC very fast. When going back to game development, they say that they rather do not have everything planned out, but rather have an idea, execute the idea immediately and take a look at the result as soon as possible. This is a loop that repeats itself until the game is finished. William puts it wonderfully. Ideas always produce more ideas, so the more you have that flexibility, let yourself be surprised by what is going to happen and keep your mind open. That's what ends up populating the world. Lots of little ideas that kind of make sense. And I truly think that this is a smart way of doing game development, especially if the same people are involved in planning, writing, creating the art, programming, etc. This way things stay fresh and you don't end up just programming for 2 years because the creative process is already done. Also, Hornet is a lot more difficult to handle from a developer perspective. Like, you can see her limbs move a lot clearer, and that means you have to do a lot more complicated stuff with her animations linking together. And then suddenly you do things like she can clamber on platforms, and that's because she's this big, tall thing in the space. And it looks odd that she's just pushing against the platform suddenly. Later on, they go into detail about the origin of the name Falum, the kingdom Silksong will take place in. When talking about clothes in the Hollow Knight universe, Ari says, "I will note that silk does exist, given that silkworms are sort of close enough to insects. They are fairly refined creatures, so they have looms and whatnot, and they have farms." I do not know how to respond to this absolutely magnificent revelation, so let's just move on, I guess. Silk does exist in Falum, but more so as threads than as actual clothing, according to Team Cherry. But not everyone in Falum is a streaker. Hornet herself wears a cloak, for example. Ari mentions that Hornet's cloak is related to her as a character. He then goes on to say that it's related to the fact that her skills and combat abilities have, like a seamstress quality, stitching and weaving. This could be the case because Hornet grew up with the Weaver tribe. Jesus, why is this so hard to pronounce? With the Weaver tribe. So I'm doing it this slow because oh Jesus, fuck. Okay. Which in the Hollow Knight lore is a mysterious tribe of spider-like creatures that will play a big role in Falum. So maybe some weaver who took care of her at some point wove her cloak, which she now wears to remember her past or something, who knows. They then go on to say that Hornet's name has a lore significance, but don't go into more detail about it, except that they say that they are not sure if they will ever reveal that bit of lore. Getting back to Silksong, they say that Falum is much more Hornet-ish than Hellenest, meaning that it largely revolves around Hornet as a character. That core thread that is being followed through it is, I'm cautious to say too much, but at least has some relationship to her. When talking about Hornet as a character, Ari says that she will have her own arc, and that we will see sides of her that we haven't seen before. Also, since Hornet now has a voice and has own motivations and goals, the way the game plays out is different. William says that it changes the feel of the world and the way that the story plays out and the way the story is presented to the player in a lot of different ways. I don't think they will go as far as to give us the ability to choose dialogue options, for example, but it will certainly be interesting to see if, for example, certain conversations go differently depending on what items we have or how far into the game we are. Okay, so that is all for this video and everything I wanted to mention about the magazine. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I originally had planned to make a huge channel update video today, but that is postponed until next Friday, so stay tuned. That said, please check out the creators of this magazine below. And if you liked the video, please subscribe so we can get closer to the 100,000 subscriber mark and I can actually make the Sode OnlyFans you all long for. And if all of my viewers were subscribed, we would already be 30% on the way, just saying. Anyway, jokes that actually aren't jokes, but 100% serious aside, I hope you all have a splendid rest of your day. And thanks so much to my Patreons for supporting me, especially Taco Sensei, who is the newest member of the Patreon club. Click the links in the end card to see more Silksong content and also to see the Hollow Knight fan-made DLC I'm working on called The Sanctuary. That's it for now. I will see you next week with my big channel update video. Stay safe and bye panada.